With this design, I'm going to show you how to take liquid art and actually mix it into some of the hard gels in order to create a look that you cannot get with any other product. The most important thing is not overwhelming the product with too much liquid art. I'm going to demonstrate how to mix it first, and then we're going to get into application to show you how to pull off a killer tiger stripe free edge. Check it out. I'm going to take a little bit of Build gel. For the clarity, a dash of concealer pink, which is going to thicken it up slightly and give it just enough opacity. Now, we want to be careful. I want to take 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of yellow. And remember, the red is extremely intense. So what we want to be able to do is add 1 drop. Notice how immediately overwhelm the surface with color. At this point, I want to push the pigment in, and again, start working the color through the gel. In order to disperse the pigment evenly. This is going to create an amazing fire orange. Notice that I'm using the bottom side of my mixing spatula to press out and disperse the pigment evenly. It's extremely important that you work it out so that you do not get streaks with the monomer. You want to be able to work it out evenly so the pigment disperses perfectly. Once you are done pressing everything out, you can use the side of your spatula to scoop it up. Perfect. This is going to give me enough to sculpt out 1 full set. Before we start our application, we need to focus on preparation. The first thing I want to be able to do is gently push the cuticles back. Once I am done pushing the cuticles back, again, notice how I start around the cuticle area and gently work down from corner to corner. This is going to effectively remove all of the shine from the surface of the natural nail, and it's going to do it efficiently. We want to be able to finish fast. Once we are done doing that, I'm going to remove all of the dust, oils, and contaminants from the natural nail, and this is going to set us up for protein bond application. Again, I'm going to apply 1 coat from cuticle to free edge on all 10 nails. Once I am done doing that, I'm going to come back for a second coat. I'm now going to take my form. I'm going to put the tab underneath. I'm going to pre-pinch my tip, open it up. I'm going to apply my form so it is flush underneath the natural nail. Once I'm done applying the form, I am now ready to sculpt my free edge with my pre-mixed color. It's extremely important when you are sculpting out your free edge to set it right up to the natural nail. Notice, in order for me to get it up to the corner, I'm going to bounce it. Notice how my brush is keeping the gel pointing up as I tuck it into the corner and come down the side. I am working with a self-leveling gel, so the product has a tendency to move fast. I almost want to float, as you can see, floating with a string to attach it to the corner and bring it down. Once I actually have the length of my free edge built out, I'm going to set this inside the light and work on the other hand. When you are working with a self-leveling gel, it's extremely important to rotate between hands so that the free edge does not run down the side of the form. Freeze it into shape, continue to work on the next hand. Now, before I remove the form from the free edge, I'm going to take base gel and I'm going to apply a nice thin coat from cuticle to free edge. This is going to set up not only an incredible foundation for our sculptured nail, but it's going to secure the product to the tip so that when I remove my form, I do not tear it away. Again, freeze inside the light as long as it takes you to work on the other hand. As soon as you're done working on the other hand, switch. Once I come out of the light, I'm going to show you a way to remove the form without tearing the free edge off. Take your magic wand, pre-pinch the tip. It will release the edges. I'm going to take the bladed side, I'm going to slide it underneath the side, I'm going to slide it underneath the side, and notice how it's going to come off with perfection. We have now established the perfect background for design. Before we continue, I'm going to take a little bit of the kaleidoscope white, and all I'm going to do is fade in a nice tight white through the center, almost like a fade. I'm going to do that to all the fingers and get it inside the light. Once it's curing inside the light, I'm going to work on the other hand. It's really important for me to lay the black in so the lines don't move. I'm going to show you a trick that's going to keep the black from separating. I'm going to take a really thin layer of gloss. I'm not using this for shine. I'm not using it to build body. I'm using it to hold my black so it does not move. Going to take a really thin layer to the area that I'm going to be applying. I am now going to take my kaleidoscope black and with my detail brush, I'm going to put my lines in. Remember the gel is going to want to move. So what you can do is you can freeze it into place while you're putting other lines into the other fingers. The only way you're going to be able to get detail is rotate while you work. If I freeze it inside the light, you have to remember that the gloss that you put on has set. There's no rule that says you can't take just a really thin amount, apply it to the area you need, take the black and add the rest of your detail. As you can see, my lines are going to be coming out nice and tight. And nice and right. Once you are done putting in your black, you have to remember that we're not finished building the shape. You're going to take build gel and we're going to finish off the body. I'm going to take a nice amount. I'm going to set it to the cuticle area. Notice how I am pillowing it to the cuticle area, keeping the finger pointed down towards the towel, feathering it down, keeping contact with the surface, keeping contact, 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 all the way through. Grab a little bit more, light touch, all the way through. There is no rule that says you cannot complete it in one. I want to be able to complete it as fast as I can and move on to the next finger. I'm going to check the side profile. I'm going to make sure that everything is okay. If I need a little bit more, I'm going to make sure lightly touch the surface. And again, remember, you can freeze the product in front of the light before you go in. This is going to prevent the product from getting hot as you work. There is no rule that says you have to enter immediately. Take your time, freeze it into place, freeze all the fingers as you work. After you're done freezing, you're gonna go inside the light and cure it for the full 2 minutes. If you notice that there are low parts, go ahead, touch up those low parts by adding a little bit more. Go inside the light and make sure that you cure it for the final 2 minutes. Once you're done, you're going to get ready for the finishing aspect. Once the product has cured, we're going to take our swipe. We're going to remove the dispersion layer from the surface of the nail, and we're going to begin our finishing process. We're going to file the perimeter to make sure it's even on both sides. We're going to file the tip to make sure it's dead even. We're going to file the lower arch to make sure it is absolutely straight on both sides. I'm going to start from the cuticle area. Again, in one direction, I'm going to file all the way to my tip, shaping my upper arch. I'm going to look down the barrel of the nail in one direction, coming through, nice and even. I'm going to go around the cuticle area, blending it nice and tight. Once I'm done doing that, I'm going to come through the whole entire body, making sure everything is going to come together perfectly. Once I'm done, I'm going to use my hand file to come around the cuticle area and blend it nice and flush to the natural nail, coming through the rest of the body to make sure that everything is perfect. Lightly sponge the surface. Let's go ahead and take some swipe to wipe that off. I'm going to take finish. I'm going to apply a nice thin layer. I'm going to take finish and apply a nice even layer from cuticle to free edge. Let's go ahead and set this inside the light. Once the finger comes out of the light, we're going to condition the cuticle area and hyponychium with cuticle oil. And as you can see, the liquid art is going to give you a dimension of orange that will set apart your tiger stripes from everybody else's.